If you're looking for a city here in South Florida that pretty much has everything and anything you could want to do, this city literally has everything under the sun. If you don't believe me, that's their slogan, so we can't really argue with it. And that city is Coral Springs, Florida. And for the longest time, Coral Springs just felt like a different planet to a lot of people. Because think about it. You have Fort Lauderdale all the way out east, and that's like the main city here in Broward County, and you're right along the beach. Then all the way out west, you have Coral Springs, and it literally butts up against the Everglades. So for people driving from Fort Lauderdale to Coral Springs, they're like, whoa, this is a completely different planet. This is nothing like I'm used to. However, I know I can get a lot more house for a lot less money and, still have the great quality of life plus plenty of things to do. And people started to realize that and started to know, like, hey, I'm still not too far from the beach. I'm not too far from Fort Lauderdale. I'm still not too far from any of these other major cities as well. Plus, there's a ton of stuff to do. I have everything under the sun. So in this video, we're gonna talk about everything that you need to know about living here in Coral Springs, Florida, the city with everything under the sun. But before we do that, I am a local realtor. So if you or anyone you know are looking to buy, sell, or invest anywhere here in Coral Springs or pretty much South Florida in general, we would love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call me, email me, text me, DM me, whatever's easiest for you. We got you. But now let's talk about Coral Springs. So first up, we definitely got to talk about the location. Like I was talking about before, a lot of people really think about Fort Lauderdale as the main place to live here in Broward County, and Coral Springs just was one of the suburbs that, a lot of people didn't really realize. However, with time and different things, people started to realize there's more and more to do out there in Coral Springs. So location-wise, Coral Springs, yes, is all the way west. So it literally butts up against the Everglades, but you're still not too far from the beach. I know it sounds pretty far away. However, it's only about a 20 to 30 minute drive. The fastest I've ever made it with all lights being green and driving the speed limit, it's about 20 minutes. However, some people drive a little bit faster and you can make it. Speaking of getting around and driving, you do have pretty much a clutch location and proximity to pretty much all of South Florida's major highways. So you do butt up against the Sawgrass, which kind of loops around. Not too far from 75, not too far from 595, 95, as well as the Turnpike. So it's very, very easy to get around. Plus, you're not very far from any of the other major cities as well. Boca is only about a 20 to 30 minute drive. Fort Lauderdale is only about 20 to 30 minutes. Weston Pembroke Pines only about 20 to 30 minutes. Aventura is about 30, 40 minutes. So you're right there, right around everything. With that being said though, a lot of people who lived in Fort Lauderdale or live in Fort Lauderdale now, going west of 95 is like a foreign country to them. I remember being in high school, and if you had a friend who lived down in Fort Lauderdale and you're like, hey, you're gonna come out, come to my house for the weekend or come to my house tonight, we're gonna go do this, we're gonna go play basketball, we're gonna go do this. Ooh, west of 95, bro, I don't go out there. But that's really started to change recently. A lot of people, it's kind of like a bubble. However, people who live out west don't mind driving around and being around everything else because they're used to driving. A lot of people do live out west and then commute into Fort Lauderdale, commute into Boca, commute into Aventura for work, and then in the afternoons commute back. So you will see a lot of traffic with that. So in the mornings, a ton of traffic going east. You have to leave right before 7. If you leave on the dot at 7, you're gonna be late because of traffic. 6:55. On the way back, pretty much anything from about 4:15, 4:30 heading west, you're screwed, so you might as well just hang out and wait. Otherwise, you're just gonna wait in traffic. And probably one of the more important things when it comes to location is the beaches and the proximity. Think about it. If people are moving to South Florida, in general, they want to be able to go to the beach. They want to enjoy that outdoor lifestyle. And by no means is Coral Springs skimping on any of the outdoor lifestyle. We'll talk about that in a minute. However, obviously one of the biggest things is being on the water and the beaches. So you do have quite a few beaches that aren't too far away either. You can head to Deerfield Beach, which is only about 20 to 25 minutes away. You can head to Pompano Beach, which is probably the easiest shot, just straight down Atlantic, and that's still only about 20 to 30 minutes away. And then you also have Lauderdale by the Sea Beach, which is probably one of the more slept on beaches, a great little downtown area. You can hang out, grab a bite to eat, grab a couple of drinks, or even walk around to some of the boutiques and go shopping. And that's still only about 20 to 30 minutes away, straight down Commercial. And obviously Coral Springs is a suburb of Fort Lauderdale, so with that being said, it does have a very suburban type feel to it. It doesn't feel like a big city, however, it doesn't feel small at the same time. Like there's a ton of stuff going on and a lot of development going on as well. However, it doesn't feel like it's just a tiny little suburb like out in the middle of nowhere. There's plenty of stuff to do. So you have a lot of strip centers, a lot of different things. Most of the bulk of things to do is right along University. So pretty much University and Atlantic all the way to University and the Sawgrass. So you have everything and anything you can want to do along University pretty much. So I'm talking restaurants, shopping, maybe some drinks, things to go out. I mean, nightlife isn't a huge thing in Coral Springs. Plenty of your parks and different activities are right off University as well. You have the mall, many of your main strip centers to that of like the Walk is probably one of the main ones. I mean, the Walk used to be the spot in middle school. You used to go there, go to Yogurtland, then go to Barnes & Noble or even Jamba Juice. But now it's starting to develop more and more. plenty of different things. You have some great restaurants over there as well, like Hellenic Republic, which is actually a really, really good Greek restaurant. So if you love Greek food, definitely something to go and check out. In terms of other things right along University, we also have the Coral Square Mall, and by no means is the Coral Square Mall absolutely massive. However, it is a decent sized mall with plenty of great stores as well. It doesn't have any of your luxury stores when you're thinking of like Apple or maybe Louis Vuitton. Gucci doesn't have that. However, you still aren't too far from the Sawgrass Mills Mall, the Aventura Mall, and even Boca Town Center. Honestly, a lot of people who live in Coral Springs don't really go to the Aventura Mall. Most of them, if they need something else and it's not the Coral Square Mall, either going to Boca Town Center or they're going to Sawgrass Mills. But Sawgrass Mills is a completely different beast within itself. Also right there along University, you do have a lot of the car dealerships. Most of them are along like at the Atlantic and University intersection. And another really nice thing that Coral Springs has is we have both a Home Depot and a Lowe's. And if you're a home improvement person or you just like DIY and just doing stuff yourself in general, you'll realize how big of a deal it is to have both right there in your city, only about 5 to 10 minutes away. We also have plenty of gym options as well. So we have Crunch, LA Fitness. We don't have an Equinox, but we do have an Athletica, a new EOS, and even Planet Fitness. So whatever you're trying to do, whatever kind of pump you're trying to get, you can go and do it. Obviously, we have CrossFit, boxing gyms, all those as well, but plenty of different options for you at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to the grocery side of things, we do have pretty much every and any grocery store you could want. So we got your main staples like Publix, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and even Fresh Market. And now we're in even Doris's. I almost forgot about Doris's. Doris's Italian Market, clutch. If you haven't been, you need to go and check it out. And we also have Costco, Sam's Club, and a BJ. So having all three of those big wholesale retailers right there within Coral Springs is huge. Think about it. You can go stock up, load up at each one of them every single day. Honestly, they're always packed no matter what time of the day you go. So as you can see, that slogan of everything under the sun is starting to feel more and more true. So now let's start talking about some of the things to do here in Coral Springs. So like I was saying before, there is a big emphasis on that outdoor lifestyle. So Coral Springs does have plenty of parks. Some of the main ones are that of like Mullins Park and Cypress Park. Those are probably the two big ones everyone goes to. So Mullins Park has everything from like playgrounds. There's also pools for swimming, tennis, beach volleyball, well, it's sand volleyball, soccer fields, big emphasis on football and basketball, though I would say over at Mullins. Meanwhile, in Cypress, they are a more emphasis on both baseball, as well as soccer, because they have the soccer fields in the back. Now, both of those are probably the two main parks. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of other parks as well. On top of that, we do have Trailhead Park. So if you want to go for a run, walk, bike, or even just go and enjoy the sunset, because this is right at the edge of the Everglades. So you're out in the Everglades and you're up on these banks and you can see down. So there's not just like alligators walking around and different things. You're not just like trekking through marsh. It's rocks and the banks that are built up. You can go out there and hang out, but at sunset every single night, it is absolutely swamped with people going out there to check out the sunset. And it's actually a lot of fun or a great date idea. So if you need a date idea, you're welcome. Now, the food scene here in Coral Springs is honestly kind of slept on, and I slept on it for a long time, but we really do have everything and anything you could want. So we have all your major chain places like that of Chili's, Jimmy John's, Chipotle, Jersey Mike's, Chick-fil-A, Zona Fresca, which isn't a main chain, but it's a South Florida chain. If you love Mexican, you gotta go and try that one. So we have all those options and pretty much whatever you would want. And then we also have a lot of great Coral Springs staples that are, maybe South Florida staples as well. So we have things like Big Bear, Runyon's, Wings Plus, Arun's Indian Kitchen, which has been ranked one of the best Indian foods, or actually one of the best restaurants in the entire United States. So if you love Indian food, you have to go and check that place out. Spanky's Cheesesteaks, yes, I know it's in Tamarack, but it's right there on the board, so I'm gonna throw it in there because I like it. Hellenic Republic, and even Tap 42. So I know we talked about the parks and, basketball, football, baseball, all being big things. However, pickleball is starting to get more and more popular with some of the basketball courts being transformed along with some of the tennis courts, as well as golf is a very popular thing here in Coral Springs. So we do have two of the major golf courses here in Coral Springs, so the Eagle Trace Country Club as well as the Coral Springs Country Club, but there are plenty of golf courses within probably a 5 to 10 mile radius, anywhere within the Coral Springs, Coconut Creek, Margate, even Parkland and Boca areas. So if golf's your thing, that is definitely an option here as well. And with that food scene being a big thing, I will say one thing that we don't have a big thing about is the nightlife. Yeah, there are plenty of like bars and like different things to do. However, it's not like you're going clubbing in Coral Springs by any means, and like the bars aren't anything crazy like you would find in like maybe Miami or Fort Lauderdale, even maybe downtown West Palm. However, there's still plenty of fun and there's definitely something to do that gets great specials, different things like that, but it's not anything that's gonna get really, really rowdy. It is still very of a suburban, quiet type feel. Now, when it comes to the school scene and the education scene here in Coral Springs, there are plenty of great options. I will say you will notice as the kids start to get a little bit older and they go into high school, a lot of kids end up heading out east for school to schools like that of St. Thomas and Gibbons, and even to like Plantation or Delray for places like American Heritage. And it just depends on your sport and what you're playing. A lot of people, for football is probably the biggest sport down here when it comes to high school sports. So a lot of kids are like moving, transferring around, and that is a big thing in South Florida that you will find. A lot of kids transfer around and bounce around. It's almost like being in the portal in college. I don't know why. It's just something to do with sports, football and basketball. Kids are constantly moving around, looking for an opportunity, just trying to get some film at the end of the day so they can take that next step and go play at the college level. However, when it comes to the rest of schools overall here in Coral Springs, from the education standpoint of things, they are extremely good, at least according to greatschools.org. I know, can't take my word for it, but according to greatschools.org, we do have some of the top rated schools here in South Florida. So in terms of elementary schools, two of the top rated ones are that of Riverside Elementary, along with Renaissance Charter. In terms of middle schools, two of the better ones or higher rated ones are Coral Springs Charter as well as Westglades. And I know Westglades is right there in that Parkland area. And in terms of high schools, we have Coral Springs Charter as well as Coral Springs High. And in terms of the options for schools, there are plenty of different options. I mean, you can go to a public school, a charter school, a private school, and even some of the different religious schools as well. We don't have any like the performance type schools like that of IMG in Bradenton. Honestly, I don't think there's really any in South Florida in general. If you want performance type schools like that, I would say you're probably going to go to St. Thomas. And probably what you're most interested in is the real estate here in Coral Springs. Like I said before, you get a lot more bang for your buck when it comes to the house, like the size of the house, the size of the land, everything that you get compared to that out east. And that's just in general when you look across the board. Now, when it comes to the median sales price here in Coral Springs, single family wise, we're looking at about $680,000, which isn't that bad at all. And then even better, when it comes to the condos and townhome side of things, we're looking at about $265,000. So overall, very affordable compared to other areas of South Florida, especially out east. And I will say it's not uncommon for people who live in Coral Springs to have houses of like 2,500 to 3,500 square feet and be under $1 million. Now, if you want to be under $1 million and have that same square footage in Fort Lauderdale, yeah, good luck. That's not happening. Or you're pretty much, now you're heading back west towards Coral Springs. One thing that you will notice in Coral Springs is there is also a nice mix of HOA communities and non-HOA communities. So there are plenty of gated communities, and you'll see that as you drive around. However, there are also communities that aren't gated either, and they have no HOA. So if you want to experience that and you want a community with an HOA and a gate and that extra layer of security and privacy, you have that option. However, if you don't, you also have that option as well. And then when it comes to the mix of single family versus condos and townhomes, we do have a pretty good mix. I will say overall, it does seem like we have a lot more single family homes than that of condos and townhomes. However, there's still quite a few, and they're tucked away in these nice pockets where they're within some of these communities, and they're also right around a lot of the shopping, dining, and entertainment, which is nice as well. So you don't have to drive too far to things. It's not like you live, 20 minutes from the closest Publix, and then you live another 40 minutes from Costco and all that. No, you're right there. Like, I know a lot of people who can literally walk to Publix and they live in a single family house in a non-HOA community. And there's also people who live in an HOA community who could still walk to Publix. So there's plenty of things to do. You're not in the middle of nowhere by any means. So that's everything that you need to know about living here in Coral Springs, Florida. So let me know in the comments down below. Does Coral Springs really have everything under the sun? And if you or anyone you know are looking to buy, sell, invest, or even rent here in Coral Springs or South Florida in general, my real estate team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call me, email me, text me, DM me, whatever's easiest for you, we got you.